recording, Maureen.
Welcome everyone to this virtual community meeting to discuss NPA 2023-0023.02. My name is Maureen Meredith and I'm the Plan Amendment Case Manager. If you haven't done so already, please let us know who is here by typing your name and organization if you're associated with one in the chat box. Please mute your microphone if you're joining by phone, and please turn off your video if you're participating online to save bandwidth. This meeting is being recorded and will be publicly posted to the publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases website. If you do not want your image viewed publicly, please turn off your camera. So as you know, this property is in the University Hills Windsor Park Combined Neighborhood Planning Area, the Windsor Park area of the Combined Plan. Mark Walters will be the meeting facilitator tonight. Again, my name is Maureen Meredith and I am the Plan Amendment Case Manager. Jonathan Tomko is the Zoning Case Manager and he is not participating in the meeting tonight. The agenda tonight will be, I will go over basic case information, guidelines for group discussion, how to participate in this process, why is there a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map. I'll do a brief presentation, then Tori will do a presentation, and then we will open the floor to the Q&A. Property address is 6405 Berkman Drive. Case number is NPA 2023-0023.02. Project name is Berkman Mixed Use. The FLUM request is to change from high density single family to mixed use. The associated zoning case number is C14 2023-0107. The existing zoning at SF6 NP, which is Townhouse and Condominium Residence District Neighborhood Plan, to GRMU NP, which is Community Commercial District Mixed Use Combining District Neighborhood Plan for residential and commercial uses. The property owner applicant is Joe David Parks Estate, and the agent is Victoria Hasse from Thrower Design. Guidelines for group discussion. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat at any time during this meeting. After staff and applicant presentations, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand symbol on the menu bar. And telephone participants will be able to speak during the Q&A session as well, and we'll call out the last 4 digits of your phone number. Attendees will be muted upon arrival and through the staff and applicant presentations. Then we will open the floor to answer your questions in the chat or by attendees raising their hands to speak. Similar questions may be grouped and answered together. And please mute your microphone when you're not speaking for the sake of sound quality and clarity of conversation. If you're having connection issues, turn off your video until called upon to ask your questions. And we ask that you be respectful to each other during this meeting discussion. So as I mentioned, this meeting is being recorded and tomorrow I will post it to the public input /neighborhood plan amendment cases link. You can email or call me or Jonathan Tomko anytime with any questions that you might have. If you provide written comments, we'll include them in the staff case report. When the cases are scheduled for Planning Commission and City Council, you will get a notice in the mail if you live within 500 feet. It will have instructions on how you can participate in the public hearings. So why is there a neighborhood plan amendment? So neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. And the city charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most neighborhood plan amendments are amendments to a plan's future land use map, also called a FLUM, and most neighborhood plan amendments have an associated zoning application. This map shows the areas in blue that have City Council approved neighborhood plans. Like the University Hills Windsor Park Neighborhood Plan, there is a plan document that states the vision and goals of the planning area and also has a future land use map. And this is what is being amended. So you can see the arrow on the property, it's on Berkman Drive. The current land use is higher density single family, which is the goldenrod color. And the proposed land use is mixed use, which is the brown color. And here's a close-up of the property. Again, that's the higher density single family land use color. And the dark brown that you see on the lower part of your screen is brown, and that is the proposed mixed-use land use. This map just shows an aerial photo of the property. See, to the south is a fire station, to the north a small apartment building, some single family to the west, and to the east also some single family homes. Just a Google map showing the frontage of the property along Berkman Drive. Another aerial photo. A aerial photo with the future land use overlaid. Again, the high density single family land use to the north, single family to the east. The blue is public, but that is where the fire station is. And there's also some single family directly to the south. And to the west across Berkman Drive is yellow, and that again is single family land use. The zoning map shows SF6 to the north, SF3, that's the family residence district to the east, P public, which is the fire station to the south, along with the SF3. And again, across the street to the west is SF3. This map shows the Imagine Austin growth concept map, and these colors represent the regional centers, town centers, neighborhood centers, and also identifies activity corridors. So this property is on Berkman Drive. It is not a activity corridor, and it's not within an activity center. You can see the Highland Mall Station Regional Center to the west, which runs somewhat along Cameron Road as well. And Cameron Road is identified as an activity corridor. This map shows the property in proximity to public transportation. You can see some bus routes along Berkman, Briarcliff, Gaston Place to the north along the service road, and also along Cameron Road. So that ends my presentation. I will stop sharing my screen, and Victoria can start hers.
Thank you, Maureen. Let me pull up the share window.
We can see it.
Okay. Okay. There we go. My name is Victoria Hasse. I'm with Thrower Design, and I'm representing the landowner of this property at 6405 Berkman Drive. This is a property that has frontage on both Berkman as well as Hickman Avenue. As Maureen said, it's a little less than an acre. It's actually 0.849 acres of land. It's about 100 feet wide and 350 feet deep. And the desire is to rezone the property to GRMU, which would then first require a neighborhood plan amendment to mixed use. We assisted with a rezoning just a few lots to the south not that long ago, and we heard at that time that some of what the neighborhood was really wanting to see was some commercial opportunity. We had a landowner approach us about this particular property, and with the idea to upzone to allow for the possibility of a commercial component. And so we were hopeful that we could bring this forward tonight and get some additional feedback from the neighborhood. It's a different proposal, different landowner, but the idea is to try to accomplish at some point in the near future development that would include some residential units, but also have a commercial component added to it. We're not at a site planning phase at this point in time, so we don't have any specific numbers to put out there. I can talk about at 0.8 acres with GR zoning, maximum density permitted by the GR zoning district would be 47 efficiency units, or 36 one-bedroom units, or it could be 32 bedroom units, or if you have an average of 1 and 2 bedroom units, it would allow a maximum density of around 33 units on this site. Now, those are maximum numbers. That doesn't mean that's the number we're going to do. I just want to make sure the neighborhood understands that we can't do any more than that under the GR zoning district regulations for density allowances. Again, it's very possible that there could be less units, but by the time you factor in adding some commercial space, that obviously takes away space from some residential units. So that would impact the number of units that could potentially go on this site in the future. And there's a lot of other things that impact a site and the yield, including setback requirements, internal drives and circulation, parking, dumpsters, things like that. So even though those numbers that I threw out there are maximum numbers, it doesn't mean that those numbers are actually possible by the time you factor in all the other requirements that the city has for a site plan that would accomplish whether it's a multifamily or a mixed-use development.
So is that the end of your presentation? No. Okay.
Pretty much, but I just wanted to walk through basically what Maureen has already shown. This is the future land use map for the property. It's outlined in blue. Right now it has higher density single family, and we're asking to change the FLEM to mixed use. And then the associated rezoning case would rezone the property from SF6 to GR/MU NP. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had. It's a pretty straightforward request at this point in time in terms of we're just asking for the GR/MU zoning district. And so I'd like to hear from the neighborhood what the questions, concerns, comments are, so that we can try to incorporate some of that and communicate that back to the landowner. So I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Victoria. Also, you could put the questions in the chat, or you can just raise your virtual hand and I'll call on you. But first, before anyone raises, I'm going to call on the one phone call we have in. It's the person with the phone number ending in 9352. Do you have any questions?
Hi, I'm sorry, I was driving, so I'll log in to the computer here shortly.
Okay.
And then I'll put my questions in at that time. Thanks. This is Hector, by the way, Hector Motel. Thanks.
Thank you, Hector. Well, I'm going to just go down the list of attendees. Does Amy Davis, do you have any questions for Victoria? No? Jackie B, do you have any questions of the applicant's agent?
Hi, sorry, just was trying to find my my mic unmute. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. I don't really have any questions other than I can share a general concern with Berkman Drive that we've shared on other projects and how much density is going here and the capacity that particular corridor has seems a bit mismatched. I know there's been concerns about the density on other locations along this corridor, especially kind of in this area. Not that more housing is bad in that sense itself, but it seems like we keep ripple affecting on Berkman, and where we see some successful projects that are like this more higher density single family, it just seems like, whoa, we're really blowing up this area. So general concern about the capacities and the infrastructure all around there. I think the nod to the need for commercial is definitely valid and probably shared here. Though I think the challenge with commercial that is so separated along that corridor, it loses some of its value of being like kind of contained in an area. So just some personal observations and concerns that I'm sharing. So.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodney Ahart, do you have any questions of Victoria?
Yes, thank you. And hello, Victoria. Thank you so much for your presentation. I just had maybe two quick questions. One was, can you give us just a little input on why GR? Like, is there a particular reason that your developer and kind of the thought process for this location? What was the thought behind GR?
So one of the biggest reasons behind GR as the base zoning that's being requested is because it would allow a greater number of residential units, and the site development parameters within of GR would also allow for a more efficient use of the land, so that there could be a greater possibility and flexibility to provide the commercial space as well as some residential units. When you get it, obviously with SF6, that doesn't allow for a commercial component, and SF6 is more of a single family product. And what we'd be looking to do is the ability to have some units that would also help to make the development work as a mixed use project. So in order to have that potential, and I'm not the numbers person behind developments, but my understanding is when you can combine a certain number of units with a commercial opportunity, there's a better chance that it's going to pencil out. So GR offers just the ability for more units. It is along a bus line. I do understand the concern of the cumulative effect of units that are being gained in the area. I know that ATD is going to look at a lot of projects as they come in. I don't know what their plan is to look at the projects holistically for the area. I do know that Berkman Drive is proposed for bicycle improvements, and pedestrian. It's a priority for transit and bicycle, not pedestrian, but pedestrian improvements are coming as well. So anyway, that was a long-winded answer, Rodney. I apologize, but that was primarily the reason, is to be able to have enough units to make the possibility of a mixed-use development work here.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you, Victoria. And I just wanted to echo, I think, one of the comments that Jackie Brooks made, just in regards to the capacity for Berkman. I know that we, at least as far as the contact team, has been in conversations with Transportation and Public Works, just talking about how we can assist with a street structure that's already overburdened. And now, with additional projects coming on, with additional trips, with more commercial, just trying to balance that, particularly since, we have a church, we have a school. There's so many things that are so close to this location, and Windsor Park is a huge pedestrian neighborhood. So I think those are some concerns, especially as we continue to add more to already an overburdened roadway, for sure. And Victoria, I know that you haven't started on the site permit piece, so I know we'll have more of that coming along. But I'm just wondering if you could provide any information on this developer. Have they been involved in mixed use or, other projects in the Austin community?
They have, I know they have done some SF6 developments before, and some multifamily developments, but I'm unsure if they've actually been, if they've done a mixed use development. So I can ask that question and get an answer for you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, I do have just one, and that would be just for us to try to get in our mind, like, what the maximum height would be for this project? I know that GR has a maximum height of 60 feet. Is that what we would be, of course, with compatibility?
So at this point in time, I have not looked at a compatibility analysis to see what the maximum height would be. My assumption is it's going to look very similar, and I can certainly do that, but my assumption is going to look very similar to the last project, which was it's, with compatibility applying, it's not going to be able to achieve 60 feet in height due to the setbacks and height being triggered by single family. But I mean, I'm just thinking for a second real quick. So compatibility would be triggered along the northern actually not the northern property line. So it would be the east and the west property lines where
And the southern.
compatibility.
There's 2 houses down here behind the fire station.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, correct.
Got it. So
Yeah.
definitely Hickman, and then some that would be to the south. And then, of course, I believe there's some houses that are on the other side of Berkman that would be on the west side.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
While we're on this, here, Jackie was asking, what was the last compatible project you were referring to, Victoria?
6305.
Yeah, correct. 6305 Berkman Drive. So it was the property just to the south of the fire station, I believe, or no, sorry, 2 properties to the south of the fire station.
So Rodney, do you have any more questions? So we go on to the next person?
No, that'll be it. Thank you so much, Victoria.
Absolutely.
Hey, Cheryl Cheatham, do you have any questions? None? So I guess we go next to Zach. Zach, do you have any questions for Victoria?
I do not, thank you.
And Hector, we talked to you last while you were driving. Do you have any questions now that you're safely at home?
Hi, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The property to the north, it looks like it was a more recent project. Have you, do you know what the zoning parameters were around that particular project?
The property to the north has SF6 zoning. So it looks like
Okay.
they did an actual like townhouse development.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at like a kind of comparison, the SF6 kind of yields in that particular project, it looked like maybe a front set of buildings and a rear set of buildings with the driveway that connects all the way to Hickman. And the site that you guys are kind of responsible for, would it also have kind of a through drive through to Hickman? Is that what you're anticipating?
We are anticipating that just because, I mean, like I said, we've not done a site plan analysis or a layout to know, but the assumption would be that there would be access to both roadways. It helps a lot with connectivity, whether it's by foot, by bike, by car. Having more access points and connectivity points is a good thing. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to assume that would be what the end result would be is a project that would have access to both roadways. But I can't say with 100% certainty at this time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think just so you know, from the neighborhood's perspective, we are the neighborhood Windsor Park Neighborhood Association is looking to kind of lobby the city about getting more bike accessibility on Linda Lane from Patterson Park, the new park on the north edge of the neighborhood that goes down Linda Lane behind Harris Elementary and kind of behind, through the next to the library, next to Windsor Village, and then down to Bartholomew and Tilly Street, kind of this big northern access near your site. So obviously any, street improvement funds or anything that goes, is a help, but I'm not sure if there's any other, as this project moves forward, is there any other potential parkland dedication funds or any other type of funds that would be generated by this project?
So at the time of site plan, when it's determined what the specific uses and the density numbers are, ATD will review all of that detailed information, and from that they will assess, street impact fee, as well as any other fees that, there's probably going to be some right-of-way dedication required at this particular site. Let me see if I can back this up a little bit. It's kind of easy to see. Oh, maybe it's easy to see. So if you can see here where like this little dog leg right here in the parcel lines, how it's not a straight line, right? It's inset. Well, those two properties there had dedicated right of way at some point, this MF3 property, and then this portion of SF6. So a lot of these properties will probably have to do the same thing. They'll have to dedicate some right of way at some point. And so we anticipate that will happen for this particular lot. So there will be some right of way area gained by the city, but also street impact fees will be something that will be looked at and assessed at the time of site plan. Parkland, that is also something that will be looked at the time of site plan as well. And it is possible that there will have to be, if it's not in a deficient area, then they will have the opportunity to put forth funding instead of actually dedicating a part of the site. As you can imagine, it's a small site, so having dedicate parkland on the site would really have a pretty big impact on what what could be built on the yield or on the net site area, right? So
yeah, Victoria, in regards to parkland dedication fees, the legislature passed a law this last session that went into effect on the 1st of September. It's House Bill 1526, which really limits what municipality can ask for parkland dedication. I'm not 100% sure, and I've read through it once, but I think it does limit to single family and duplexes, the only places that can now be required to do parkland dedication. I'm not 100%, but that was something that was passed out of the legislature and signed by the governor. So just let everyone know that.
I appreciate that, Mark. I have not kept up with that, so that's good information. But as you're saying, so it basically, your thought was that it makes it so that single family duplex doesn't have to.
They're the only ones that have to.
They're the only ones that have to?
Yeah.
Dedicate parkland?
Or dedicate or fee.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, sure. Do you have any more questions, Hector?
I guess just one last, maybe more of a comment.
Then we'll go to Cheryl.
Sure. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I guess just one more comment. When we're looking at, I believe you guys were looking at the VMU, which I know kind of has some kind of trade-offs or some benefits over different kind of categories in terms of the density and the parking requirements and stuff. When we're looking at the commercial portion, the commercial portions essentially are, there really isn't a clear definition as far as the city's concerned of what can qualify you for that commercial portion. So you end up getting kind of ground level units facing the street. In this case, it'd be facing Berkman, that maybe look commercial from the outside, but essentially are someone's living room. So it kind of, in the end, is not a great unit, and it's not. And while they could be used for somebody's like business, they're not really a great setup for a business. So my comment is, just that if these are going to be commercial spaces, we would really like to see a true kind of commercial looking space down there, for the sake of having a viable commercial business, even if it's small, versus what you end up is someone's living room. The blinds are always drawn and the doors are always locked, and maybe they don't even go in that front door because it goes right off to a busier street. Whereas you would never really design if you look at the East Coast cities that we really like, those ground floor units are usually 3 or 4 feet, even more up, separated from the sidewalk. So it's a little bit more private for the residents there. So it's just something that is kind of concerning to me about the way the commercial spaces are deployed currently in those BMU buildings. And that's all. Thanks again.
Hey, thank you, Hector. Cheryl, you had your hand up?
There are 3 of us here.
Okay.
Cheryl, Scooter, and Steve, and this is Scooter speaking now.
Okay.
One of my concerns is that I'm assuming that you want us to reach some level of approval of what you're doing tonight, but what I've heard and what I've seen is still fairly vague. And you're talking about putting something of high impact with GR, which there could be a number of unpleasant zoning applications for GR in an area where you have single family across the street, and where we've already talked about what impact there is on Berkman already. And I'm not, the council seems to be favorable to continuing upzoning, significant upzoning, even where there's not good transportation. So from my perspective, I would like to see a lot more decisions made before I could even think about whether this could work or not. Thank you.
Yeah, I do understand that. That seems to be kind of the catch that we're in a lot of times, is we don't, going down and venturing down the path of developing a site plan is, with all of those details, is very, it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of resources. And so to do that without knowing if you're going to get your zoning or not is a high risk. But we can, to the degree that I can make the request of the landowner to try to look into some of that, and see, what their willingness is, how far they're willing to venture down that path, to at least give a little bit greater parameters.
We understand all that, but your concerns are financial. Our concerns are, we live here, and our job as in the contact team is to take a look at projects and see if they can work or not, or whether they're going to actually impact the neighborhood with damage. And so I have a hard time being sympathetic to your having to spend one more hour to make something work.
I understand. Yeah.
Does anyone else on your call there, Scooter, do they have any questions?
Yeah, this is Steve Spear. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Steve.
I live on Corona. I've lived in the neighborhood approaching 50 years, and I've seen a lot of things come and go. And I realize now from what I've heard tonight, no parkland development fees due to our Texas legislature are probably realistic. But I was wondering, are there going to be any moving van fees for anybody who is so disgusted by what's going on here with this constant jamming in small projects into 100 feet by 300 feet piece of land, creating just already bottleneck traffic on Berkman? You can't get down it now. I saw a bad wreck 2 nights ago, very near the corner of Wheelis and Berkman. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I tried to find it in the newspaper, but forget that. But this is completely unacceptable to me. you're helping destroy our neighborhood. And I'm hearing it at every meeting I go to. It's not personal directed at you. You're one of many, but people in this neighborhood they can't get out on Cameron Road. They're blocked. They can't get out on it now. They can't get out now on Berkman. And you're talking about new grocery stores. We've got 2 grocery stores about to come in here, Sprouts and Whole Foods. Don't need any more grocery stores. I'm just saying this is causing our quality of life to be destroyed. And that is not too strong a word. I'm going to say it every time anybody asks my opinion. And I'm hearing it at every meeting I go to, and I go to 3 or 4 a week in University Hills, in Cameron, all the Miller, all the way around. People know what's going on here, and nothing personal to y'all. I guess you're just chasing the dollar, but we're chasing quality of life and continuing to want to live here till the day comes that somebody takes us off. And I send my neighbors one by one right now for the first time. They're talking about leaving Windsor Park. If that's what the goal is, to acquire their property, whoever is pushing this is sure being successful.
Thank you. Does anyone else who's on that line have any questions?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay. So Jackie, you have your hand raised. Would you unmute and ask your question, please?
Yeah, I just had one follow-up comment just regarding the FLUM and kind of the neighborhood plan. So one thing that I've noticed is on Berkman Drive in particular, we had, that's kind of our section where we have this higher density single family residential. I know one of the main conversations, you know, in Austin's overall like kind of imagined plan and kind of this growth is that we really want a good mix of housing types, and like that way we can service, you know, families, because a lot of the larger apartment complexes that we've seen really don't cater to some of those families. And so like, is the SF6 an opportunity to bring more affordable housing to folks that maybe need a larger space, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, you know, that kind of thing? And so I'm nervous that we're losing those particular opportunities for SF6 in our neighborhood, and we have like single family 1 house or 50, you know, and so we're like missing this middle, you know, kind of density opportunity here. So I wasn't sure if other people have noticed that, or I mean, just kind of throughout the neighborhood, it seems like Berkman is just on this crazy trajectory of escalating like very quickly, and we're losing those smaller densification opportunities for maybe, you know, accommodating different types of families or folks that need it. So that's just kind of my last comment, especially in regards to our neighborhood plan. And I know a lot of thought was put into this when Windsor Park did all of that work to say, hey, we want to grow, we want to partner with the city to really, you know, add some density, but we want to do it very thoughtfully. And so, like I said, I think we're maybe missing kind of the reflection of different opportunities in the different types of housing that we've sort of looked at as a neighborhood already when we continue to keep changing the FLUM. So just something to keep in mind. That's something that weighs on me, of course, as we keep looking at these massive rezoning, upzonings.
Thank you. So does anybody else have any questions? This is your opportunity to ask questions, Victoria. If not, Maureen, can you put up the contact information and go over the next steps? Well, Amy, you please unmute and ask your question. Amy? We hear you're unmute, see you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Could maybe write your question in the chat and we can go from there. Yeah, I can hear something like, but it's doesn't sound like your microphone is working. Okay. While we're waiting to see what Amy has to ask, or Maureen, can you go over the next steps in the process. Oh, Amy asks, are the trees staying? Victoria?
So there are quite a few trees on the site. There's at two different points, it looks like there's just lines of trees that kind of block the view of the house from the road in both directions. And there's not been a tree survey done to establish what trees, the size of the trees and the condition of the trees, but I would imagine if there's any protected trees that are proposed to be removed, those will have to be mitigated through the site planning process. And if there's any heritage trees, obviously those heritage trees will remain in place. But there's not been a survey produced at this time to look at the trees. So I know there's always a desire to keep as many trees as possible. Trees help in a lot of ways. So, but that's the most I can say about trees at the moment.
Jackie B has a question. Is developing at SF6 off the table for the developer? It sounds like they may have had previous experience in this.
Yes, they do. I know the desire is to try to accomplish more of a mixed-use development here. So that would not work with an SF6 developed property or project. But I can certainly take the desire back to the landowner.
Thank you. So Maureen, do you want to go over next steps? And if anybody else has a question, we can pause and go to that question, but you
Sure.
Tell us what to expect next.
Okay, so after this meeting, I will meet with my long-range planning team. I'll report back to them the questions and concerns from tonight's meeting, and we'll look at the neighborhood plan, the comp plan, and other plans that might be relevant to make a recommendation on the flum change. I will forward that to the zoning team and the zoning planner, Jonathan Tomko. He will bring it to his zoning staff and they will make a recommendation on the zoning request. Once that is finalized, I'll start working on scheduling the cases for planning commission and city council. I'll reach out to the planning contact team, Rodney, and we will let you know what dates we're looking at. And if you wanted to have your letter submitted with the staff case reports, when the deadline would be for that. And of course, anybody who lives within 500 feet will get the notice in the mail, and you will be able to send me and Jonathan your comments that will be included in the staff case report as well.
Okay. So thank you everybody for giving some of your time to find out about this proposed change to your future land use map of your plan. Victoria, do you have any closing comments before we wrap up for the evening?
I would just encourage people to reach out to me if they do have additional questions, concerns, comments, to reach out to me through my email or my phone number. I put those in the chat at the beginning, but I believe also you can contact Maureen or Mark. They have that information as well. And I'm looking forward to providing this feedback to the landowner and then going from there. So.
Looks like Rodney is typing another question. Oh, or not. Okay, so I'll make sure everybody has had a chance to ask all their questions before we end for the evening. I know when I say we're going to end, that always spurs on extra questions, but I just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to have their piece said and heard. So hearing none, seeing none, I would like to wrap up the meeting. And again, thank you very much for giving some of your time. And I wish everybody a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you so much.